Welcome to the Junto Men's Podcast, where we take a deep dive into all things related to men. We explore how to go from good to great, from high performers, and also aim to provide a shining light if you're experiencing darkness in your life. Grab a pen and paper and enjoy the ride.
Tell you. But just want everyone to know everything stays in the vault tonight, yeah? Whatever anybody says, whatever anybody shares, it stays here. Everyone cool with that? Sweet. Everyone knows where the bathrooms are. Take yourself to the bathroom if you need to go. Ask any questions that you want, and we'll get through it. I got a bit of a plan of what I want to talk about tonight, but if there's anything burning, moving towards the end, make sure you ask, and we'll try and get to it. Yeah, because I've been doing this for quite some time now. Spent thousands of dollars and thousands of hours learning and discovering and doing all the things. So I've got a bank of wisdom that you're all willing to tap into, and I'm hoping that I can learn some shit from you guys as well. So first things first, go around the circle, starting with Michael. Favorite sex position?
Ooh. Why do I have to go first? Big fan of legs over shoulder, like missionary, but legs over shoulders.
Yep.
Whatever that is.
American soccer.
I'd probably call it like close to the player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Player?
Sounds
pretty
Something like that.
The player's normally like legs all the way back, and like
Right. Yeah, that's a bit extreme.
yeah. So we call it
Player wheelbarrow.
yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested because that's right up there for me too. So
That's
Yeah.
honestly,
you need a name. I'd like to give it a name.
I'll find out and I'll put it in the group. It's important information, right?
Yeah.
Certain diagrams.
Yeah.
That's I reckon that's good.
Yeah.
It's good for her.
Yeah.
Good for me.
I know that if you're like up on 2 feet and doing that, it's called the bee sting, but I'm not sure what the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, coming down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's more of a lifting her up and
I'll find out. Keegan?
Missionary, but I don't know. I haven't experimented with the legs over the shoulders.
Yeah.
that's good.
That's good.
Oh, well, do you want me to run the fucking workshop?
Sure.
He's nailed it on the first.
Yeah. I like missionary too. I did a workshop at Sexpo last year called Fuck Missionary Beyond the Boring. But the whole workshop was based around like if you're communicating and connecting with like good boundaries and consent, and missionary is probably up there with the top because there's eye contact, you can stop and breathe together, and great penetration, you're hitting all the right spots as far as anatomy goes. So yeah, I like missionary too.
Yeah, no, missionary is good for that connection for me. Especially I've noticed the older I get, the more I want that connection. Because when you're young, you just hoof around, do whatever you want. But yeah, the more you need that connection, the older you get. But yeah, if I'm to just rip right in, I don't know what this is called. You need to help me out. It's like she's on a side, leg between your legs, and that leg's up.
Yeah.
And you're like going sideways.
Scissors.
Yeah.
Sort of a scissor.
We'll call it a scissor. Yeah. Call it the hetero scissor.
Yeah. You can get that leg back so you can get right up.
Yeah. Nice deep. Plow. Yeah. Plow 2.
About two. It's just like yoga. I love it.
This says
Two.
Christian friendly sex positions.
So the devil can't see you when you're there.
I love
I'm
it.
not going to lie, I've had Christian sex before.
Yeah.
Christian, you had Christian
I've
sex
had
before?
Christian sex before, and what I found out what that was, and it's because my partner at the time, she had an operation that we couldn't have sex, and I was just so horny, and I heard about it because I was working with 2 Christians. It was literally fucking in between the back of her knee.
Yeah.
And that was Christian sex that I'd heard, and I
Yeah,
thought it
right.
fucking didn't work. But I tried it.
I've tried it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just goes.
It's probably not a lot. I haven't tried it. I've tried the armpit, tried the back of the knee.
Yeah, back of the knee. That was called Christian sex. I thought it was funny.
I just poke stuff for long enough and stuff. And I'm like,
See what's worked.
It's a bit prickly if they haven't shaved or waxed or something.
at one point I was on mushrooms and I was convinced I was like guts deep, but I was just poking at something that wasn't.
Below or something like that.
Who cares?
Just trying to get in the door.
It's knocking.
I was fucking the universe. Yeah. All right, Josh.
I don't know if I've got a favourite. Hey, it's just like
Variety.
yeah, I love variety. So whatever unfolds. If you're on the lounge, if you're on the bed, if you're on the ground, it's all something different. So yeah, love all of it actually. Yeah, there's no one.
If you had to pick one, you could only ever do it forever.
No, I just couldn't. Yeah, I can't play that game. I can't play that game.
Exams.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, so no, I'm going to have to pass on that because there's so many good ones.
All right, Josh isn't playing. You don't get the prize.
Sorry.
Andrew.
I'll probably agree with that though.
Yeah.
I think that variety sort of.
So you started something there. You
Yeah,
fucker.
sorry. mate. Sorry.
No, but I think that
Maybe you decide
mixing
to
it
play
up
Josh.
sort of like you get a chance to sort of appreciate everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Give us your top two then.
probably like standing up
Mhm.
and then like on the desk or something, and then when they're on their feet and like squatting down.
Wow.
Yeah. I like that.
My
Hey?
personal favourite is my partner on top.
Yeah.
Because there is a massive chair and you get the eye connection, which is just fucking unbelievable.
Mm.
But also you can then move her body while she's on top and moving, and also the deepness of the penetration that you can get in that position. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, that'd have to be that'd be my favourite.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've sort of got the ability to like change and adjust to make sure that they're getting the right sensation and
But just the movement as well. There's something just so erotic and sexual about the movement that they, especially once they start getting a really nice rhythm going. It's it's unbelievable.
Have you tried a Bosu ball?
What was that
Have you
one?
tried a Bosu ball
Bosu ball?
underneath you?
No,
Well, that's
like
a
an
cool
exercise
workout.
ball.
that is a cool
That's a
workout.
cool workout.
We've
heard it's not
on
like that.
top.
Oh, there'd be an injury for sure.
I don't think I'm coordinating.
I think I've got a bit more work to do before I get that, especially with my body strength.
So you're coming from like your background, mate. Good core strength. Like
Yeah.
you don't have good core strength. That could be a broken cock moment.
And now we know why it's abs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it though.
I love the post-sex ab pump that you go after a good brew. Even if you haven't got abs, you go into the bathroom and brush your teeth and oh hey, look at that.
Yeah. We've just got it done like a
And
thousand.
I can imagine you look like a fucking washing board up to
Especially
that.
in the candlelight.
Yeah, right lighting.
Don't give you any images, sorry.
Jace, what do you got?
Like similar to Gav, but it's like the legs, like a lazy dog.
Lazy dog. Yeah.
That's it, lazy dog.
I love
What's the lazy dog?
So it's
I'll
like
show you.
Yeah, do it.
The lazy dog is like laying ground, then one leg up.
Yeah.
And you come in from behind.
Yeah, that's
That's pretty awesome.
And
That one.
They can sort of screw touch themselves.
you're either side.
Yeah.
that's my go-to in the morning. Roll over.
I was
guess
just about
what?
to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Come on, so I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
great.
Yourself.
Great.
Unbelievable.
And same thing. You can get into all different positions.
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
Yeah, you can like touch them, boobs, hair, neck.
everything.
Super deep that one as well. That's
Super deep.
yeah.
And as we get into it later, it's like anatomically hitting, like, if you tip your hips up a little bit, then you're going to hit their G spot and sometimes.
Rolling through the back section.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well, that's mine as well. Lazy dog.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah.
Hence the reason you got so excited to show you.
Well, I taught him.
Oh, awesome.
I didn't do it to him, but
So was the lazy dog.
I got just as excited when I was talking to him on Zoom about it. I was on the forum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we've all, you know, broken the ice a little bit, which is good. How about we play a game?
Of games.
What do you reckon, Michael?
Sure, mate. You love one, eh? You love games.
All right,
Okay.
cool. Game. Everyone stand up. Everyone up. What is your favourite game? Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just follow around. Okay. Then everyone needs to you're going to stop and ask them. Go through the or and say wow. But also, work with you. I thought, oh, it must be because we said worm or something.
That was
Yeah.
just what comes straight in there. You're talking about the worm fruit, and I just thought, oh, apple.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that, you know, our brains pick up on language and plants little seeds in it all the time. So is they're all going to go home and try Lazy Dog tonight, I guarantee.
Not gonna lie, on this.
Yeah, good.
It's happening.
It's happening. So I'm going to hand something out. Some of the guys here have already seen it. Ken, you went off, you went off, you went off, and you won't have. So I won't spend too much time on it because the other guys have seen it, but it's there if you want to have a look. This is a list of, just whilst we're on the subject of like fantasies and desires, this is a list of my mind dump of filthy fun things that you can do. All right? And it's really good to know what you like. It's really good to know what you've done, what you want to do. It's really good to know what porn's out there and all the different shit. But unless you actually have a little think about the things that you would actually be interested in doing, it becomes very hard for you to actualize it. Yeah, like everyone's heard about, you know, positive affirmations and all that sort of garb. But the way that I like to use this is I like to go through with a couple of highlighters and like with the green highlighter, like for the things that are yes, hard yeses, these are the things that I want to do, want to try. An orange highlighter for, you know, maybes, be curious to try. And a red highlighter, like pink highlighter for just no, off the table. It's a fun thing to be able to do if you've got like that trust and safety with a partner, to be able, if you've got that, to be able to sit down and go through it with them. But it's, yeah, take as many as you want. Take some for your friends if you want. But like, it's interesting. I've done this with my ex-partner, and I went away and did it, and did like a very vanilla version of it, and then came back and looked at hers, and I was like, "Holy, what? You be into that shit?" and what? Hold on, I need to go back and reassess mine, and went back and did an honest version of it, and it was actually really interesting to like realize the things that we might have both been interested in, but had never tried because it was taboo to talk about, or you know. Even if it comes back and it's all pretty vanilla stuff, then you've got a safe map to play in. Like if, you know, you just tick like, you know, 3 or 4 things and that's what you're comfortable in, at least you both know.
Yeah.
There's like, there's not like a mismatch in expectations, at least. You know, and you know that if there is a bunch of stuff in there that isn't going to get met in your relationship, then you have to take responsibility for that yourself. Whether it's, you know, bringing it into fantasy land, whether it's, you know, just radically accepting that that's not going to be part of your sexual container, but at least you know. Cool?
I think you need to rank these better.
Yeah.
Like you go from body worship to
Oh.
spitting.
That starts.
Yeah, I know it does, but just like in terms of like the bit.
I'll take it.
Oh yeah, body worship. Yeah, it was spitting. Oh, that's fucking.
I'll take that under consultation. Thank you. But yeah, you're probably right. I did do this a long time ago, and I've discovered a lot more things than are on this list now. But is there any, having a look down the list, have a quick look down there. Is there anything on there that you guys don't know what it is or never heard of before? Andrew, have a look.
Hot whipping cuckold.
Hot wifing, cuckolding.
Yeah.
Hot wifing is when you enjoy somebody else having sex with your partner, and cuckolding is the same, but you get degraded. So like you're not allowed to play, you have to sit in the corner and just watch. Some people it is. I've experienced it before.
And you've been in the corner?
No, me being the other
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my one actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite sure.
A lot of people ask about edging, what edging is. Everyone knows
Done heaps of edging.
under intercourse.
You've done heaps of edging.
One myself. Yeah. When
What is
when I was
edging?
in the mines.
So edging is a practice that can be used in self-pleasure and in like intercourse. It's basically, if you think of like the orgasm scale of 1 to 10, like 1 just starting, 10 being top your load, you might work yourself up. Say if you're self-pleasuring, you might, work yourself up towards like a 7, and then using like a circulating breath, you end up like bringing yourself back down to say a 5, and then starting again, getting yourself up, using your breath to circulate your energy and get your focus off the stimulation, come back down, and then you get to consciously choose when you come or if you just don't come at all. And like during intercourse, it can be done with a partner as well. Like, you both try and get yourselves up to a 7, and then you slow down, and then you both get up to 7, then you slow down. So it can be fun to play with rather than just having the goal of orgasm. It's a goal of playing together and seeing how close you can get without going. And then all of a sudden being like, should we go now? It's like really fun. You're like, yeah, fuck it, let's send it. And you have a big orgasm together. But the other really brilliant thing about it for men doing it during self-pleasure is that you build your capacity to control your ejaculation and orgasm. When you're getting close and you can start to breathe, you can start to bring your focus back into your body and close your eyes and, last a bit longer if you want, or just you have that confidence going in that I can come when I want to come. So edging's really fun to play with. If you're like self-pleasuring this week, masturbating, give it a try. It's really beneficial. And like what's also really beneficial is to try a couple of times, just not coming. Like get yourself to the edge a couple of times and then just finish up with that. Take some big yummy breaths, circulate that big juicy orgasmic energy through your body, carry it into the next day, and you know that you've got a big spicy one waiting for you when you decide to go at it again. You're gonna shoot a flock of seagulls out your car.
Like stay at the hour before, eh?
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna try and blow the tiles off the bathroom wall or whatever it is.
I just remember a conversation with some mates when I was in high school, and they were talking about whether they could get it over the shower.
Over the shower. I never had that
That was the
conversation.
goal. I was like,
Wow.
you got it.
Over the shower.
That's an arc, that is.
I was like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but I certainly cannot get there.
But that's one of the big tip for this, like how to have better sex, is to have confidence and competence in your own orgasm. Yeah, like I work with lots and lots of guys around either erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, or not being able to come at all. And the big tool that I give them is self-pleasure. Like it's this taboo around touching your body, like masturbating. Because most of the time when we masturbate, it's like, when everyone's out of the house and, you got a spare bit of time, nobody's going to find out about it, or you're doing it in secret with the volume down real low. And, you're doing it hard and fast. And I call it the monkey wank. Like, you know, you go to the zoo and there's that monkey in the corner just fucking beating himself senseless. And like when you're doing it hard and fast and quick and secretive, your body reflects that secretiveness. Like you end up closing the front of your body over, like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You tense up your core, and it's almost like we're most of the time trying to get there as quick as possible, or we're flicking through trying to find, you know, that porn video that's just going to hit the mark so that you'll get there as quick as possible. And we play the way that we train when we have sex. Like if that's how we come most of the time, like say you know, touch yourself a couple of times a week and you might only have sex like once every 2 weeks, your body is training for those other times. So the way that I work with guys around self-pleasure is to open up their body, like lay down, try different positions, try standing up, try like leaning over, you know, try sitting down on the floor and like training your body that this isn't what it looks like. Because even when we're having sex, a lot of the time when our body's trained that way and you start to feel that orgasm come, you tense the front of your body up, you close your shoulders on, and you're holding on for grim life. And your body is like, oh, this is what happens when I'm trying to knock one out so quick before someone discovers me. So like changing your mindset around masturbation to self-pleasure and training is one of the keys to having better sex, because your subconscious mind and your body is picking up on the fact that I deserve this pleasure, I'm worthy of this pleasure, this isn't shameful, and this feels good. I'm going to be curious and I'm going to play a little bit, and you know, I'm training my body for the big game. And I don't want the big game to look like me fucking turbo dogging and trying to close my eyes and hold on for grim life and end up either coming too quick, one, which happens a lot when we masturbate in that monkey wank way, because we're so used to that firm, hard grip on our cock of like, you know, just hard and fast, that when we get in front of a real body that's wet and warm and it's got titties on it, and or it's, you know, it's got a dick on it or whatever it is, we overstimulate because we're just not used to that. So we come too quick. Or the other thing is that we can't come at all, because what we're playing out with an actual human body that's got eyes, and it's breathing, it's got tits, and it's got an asshole, and it's got all these things, it doesn't feel the same as this. And this is all our body's used to. So that's when you flip them over and they're like, oh, you're going to come yet? And you're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to come. So we have to emulate that to be able to get there. All right. So to flip the switch, to change the game, it is bringing love and self-pleasure in when you're touching your body. And don't get me wrong, self-pleasure can be anything that's pleasurable for you, that's only for you. It could be a longer hot shower, you know, whilst you know, washing yourself and exploring yourself. It could be like practicing with feather touch over your body and different sensations. It could be like playing with scratch. It could be like pulling your hair whilst you have a wank. It could be putting something in your bum. Like literally, like the curiosity and the play comes in that world because we deserve it. This is to fucking say that we don't. This is to say that all of our fantasies and desires and pleasure can only be gained and given when we're with somebody else. And we've got this shameful thing in male culture that, you know, if I'm having a wank, then it means I've been knocked back, or that I can't go and, you know, I can't get it off my missus or whatever it is. But that's so like, and I used to think like that all the time, but it's so toxic to think like that, because what's wrong with giving your body the gift? Like I have relationships now where, you know, me and my partners are like, hey, I'm just going to go on self-pleasure for a little while. Sweet. Let me know how it goes. And, you know, or they might get halfway through and be like, actually, I want you to join. And you strip the shame away from it. And it's actually very expansive. Or you know, my partner will come home from work and I'll be like, hey, I tried this new thing whilst I was having a wank today. I want to like show you what it is. Great. Or if you don't feel like actually having penetrative sex, there's no world that I want to live in where you can't self-pleasure next to each other or with each other. Or, you know, they pull my hair whilst I'm like, strip the taboo away from self-pleasure is a big key to being able to have good sex. Yeah. Also, whilst you're self-pleasuring, really think about, Josh will probably be able to speak a lot to this, is your breath. Your breath in sex is one of the keys to deeper intimacy. Being able to like lock in with the other person's breath, speed their breath up with your breath, slow their breath down with your breath, and using your like perineum, I forget the name of the muscle, like the muscle that you would use to hold in a wee or hold in a fart. Yeah, everyone do it. Do it. Whilst you're sitting here, do it. Just squeeze, act like you're squeezing in a fart. So you using that muscle. Yeah, there's a different. There's
Kegel, I think.
There's the Kegel, there's and they got the Kegel.
Yeah, Kegel's slow. Yeah, it's kind of like, yes, you're right. It is for women, Kegels, but there's another name for it. I'm fucking it up. But yeah, basically, it's not so much like that you're squeezing. Imagine that you've got a weight hanging from your perineum, your gooch, and that you're lifting it up. Okay, so whilst you're self-pleasuring or you're having sex, when you're breathing in and breathing out, think about lifting and releasing that, and it actually like activates your prostate and can really like very much heighten your orgasms massively with breath and like squeezing that muscle. It's a whole nother fucking thing. So they're my major tips for self-pleasuring. Like, be explorative, be playful, be curious, use your breath, try edging, and think about, as you're starting to get towards orgasm, lifting that perineum muscle. Good? You're going to give it a try? Yeah? All right.
I've had a cramp before. They're like down there when I haven't done it for a while.
Yeah.
It's like literally cramp. Yeah, I can't need to work that again.
Yeah.
Get that moving again.
Yeah, it's sort of like that breath and that cycle of squeezing your perineum muscle is like in tantra, it's kind of the key to having like internal orgasms, because like once you're breathing and you can really activate that muscle, you can have like non-ejaculative orgasms. You can have, with the hyperoxygenated breath and that squeeze, you can start to see shit, go into portals, you can like have a chat to God,
Go on the DMT train.
Exactly. So like being able to play with that whilst you're self-pleasuring, fucking heaps more fun than, beating yourself senseless as quickly as you can. And then you've got some confidence to be able to bring it into the bedroom.
So how different is the breath that you would go for heightening versus trying to go longer?
Trying to go longer. So
what's the difference?
We can do it now. So basically, the breath for going longer, like down regulating your nervous system, would be a breath to, whilst you're breathing in, you're thinking about breathing into your tummy, your diaphragm, your chest, to fill up all your chambers of your lungs, and then you're breathing back down again. So let's try that. So breathing into your tummy first, so filling up from the bottom all the way to the top, and from the top down to the bottom, from the bottom to the top to the bottom. That would be the breath. So whilst you're getting to that hyper aroused state, you're oxygenating your blood and you're slowing your nervous system down by doing that. If you prefer to go from top to bottom, you can go top to bottom if you want. So the breath that you would use to like heighten your orgasm would be a bit of a faster breath. So you're squeezing your perineum muscle, pulling your breath up, and then letting go of your breath out your mouth and dropping the perineum muscle. So you just think about squeezing.
That's what got me in the conscious workshop in Feb.
Yeah.
I was sweet. I was just cruising. When we did that, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Is that exactly how it went? Yes.
Did you come? Did you? Oh God, I had a finger mask and everything. Yeah, cool. Oh, that's good. But yeah, there's
Finger in your ass. In that one.
Yep.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's good fun. Memories. Contract.
So Nate's partner did the conscious one just gone.
Oh, yeah? Who was she? Oh, I met her, huh? Yeah, she was cool. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so like self-pleasure, breathing. That's the key for our performance wise. Okay. So what time does everyone want to get out of here tonight, by the way? Like ideally.
When we've learned everything we need to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's happy. You all right?
I'm crazy, yeah.
Cruzy? Michael?
Go to.
You good? Okay, cool. Oh, now we all know your cum face. I should take a photo of that.
Take a photo, send it to Sam. Really? Is this it? Is this really it?
She'll be like, oh, he's never looking at me when he does it anyway.
I love it.
So yeah, like even just this, like having some playful, like fun conversations with partners around sex. It's the key to having good, it's one key to having good sex. Like whilst you're cooking dinner, talk about like, you know, what was your favorite thing about, you know, when we fooled around last night, you know, next time, do you want it like a little bit faster, a little bit slower, harder, softer? Is there anything that I can do to make this better? Like next time, is there anything else that you'd like to include in it? Is there anything that you didn't like? Like, or, you know, oh, fuck, babe, I've been thinking so much about like, you know, dressing you up in a garbage bag and like, yeah, and they got the capacity to be like, whoa, that's twisted, but they're also like, oh wow, he doesn't just think about Turbo Doggy, Missionary, and Lazy Dog. Like, there's some thoughts rattling around in this cunt's brain. So, like,
And I think they even, I know, Sam, like, she enjoys me talking about that because she's like, oh, you're thinking about me in that, like, she's happy that I'm thinking about her in that way.
yeah,
It's like, oh, cool, like he thinks about me like that. So,
Mm.
so it's a really nice thing for them to hear, I think.
yeah, to know that you're thinking about them.
And vice versa.
Yeah, see, we might just touch on fantasies and desires real quick, because it's a topic that I love talking about, and I think that it's something that a lot of men and women struggle with as well. Around like, how do I bring the dirty shit in my mind to life, or when somebody else comes to me with something that's like really edgy, how do I be of service to that? So has anybody here ever had a partner come to them and tell them a fantasy or a desire or a kink that's been like, whoa, fuck?
Mm.
No?
I think the big one for me would just be going to a sex club or something like that and being with someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's,
Cool.
yeah, that would be the biggest one.
Yeah, okay. That's a really good example. I think like one of the biggest things that blew me away with my ex-partner, amazing human, they had some kinks around like really like hard sex, like getting spanked, like getting choked, like hair pulling. They wanted to be slapped across the face. And when they took, like, we had created the safety and the curiosity for them to have the confidence to be able to bring this to the table. But at the time, I was like, whoa, nah, can't do that. That's toxic masculinity. That's violence towards women. Like, that's fucked up. But like, I don't even watch that porn because that's how I identify it too. So I ended up going and working with a coach around these things and worked on like learning the arts of BDSM, and like got some confidence and got some competence in it, so that I felt like if I was going to do something that was an edge for me, that I would be able to do it safely and well. That was a big shift for me. But before even bringing it into the bedroom, and eventually it started to make sense to me why they wanted it. Like I also needed to know like what the background was behind this. Like, was it coming from a safe place, or was it coming from like a replaying trauma place? Like, was I going to fuck them up a little bit by fucking them up a little bit? So that was also interesting too, is to have like a curious conversation around like, oh, so tell me why that turns you on. or, you know, and think about that for you as well. Like if you're going to ask somebody to do something to you or for you, think about why. Like, where's it coming from? Is it just because I watched it on porn and looked cool? Or like because I want to play with the edges around domination and submission? Like I want to know what it's like to feel my prostate stimulated. Like, you know, I'm curious about what this is. Like, you know, I've never had my hand inside a vagina before. Like whatever it is, just know where you're coming from, why it might turn you on. Then you might feel confident and comfortable in the fact that, hey, I'm going to ask for this because I'm comfortable with asking for it. I'm not feeling shame or guilt around it. When somebody's giving you that opportunity to hear their kinks and fantasies, apply that same curiosity. So I have this rule that I never ever yuck anybody else's yum. Like, don't yuck somebody's yum. If they've got the vulnerability to tell me what the thing is that they're like been really thinking about, that's a gift. Yeah, even if it's challenging to me, I'll do my belly breaths. I'll fucking, you know, do my mantras inside my head, regulate myself, and then get curious. Cool. Tell me more about that. What does it look like? What does that mean to you? How does that play out for you? Do you know what it's about? Like, why do you think that turns you on? Get a little bit curious about it. When I was practicing and learning kink and BDSM, the first way that I brought it into the bedroom was through dirty talk. So if it's a massive edge for you, then sometimes talking about it and actualizing it through language can be like the first step to you becoming comfortable in that space, or just discovering whether it's a fucking hard no for you. Like, use your example, you know, if that was me and a partner and that was an edge for me, but I thought about how much it was turned my partner on, or how much it could turn my partner on. I'd be curious about, like, oh, you know, they've got this fantasy about having sex with somebody else in a sex club. All right, I'd be interested to see what sort of pleasure can be gained out of this. So maybe whilst we're, you know, I might send some text messages. Like, I'm thinking about how fucking turned on you would be whilst we're driving to the sex club and, you know, putting my hand between your legs and feeling how hot you are. Like, you know, playing with that curiosity in words. It might be whilst you are being intimate, like making out or fucking, and you might whisper in their ear, like, I'm imagining how fucking big an orgasm you would have, you know, whilst we're at the sex club, or, you know, how fucking turned on you would be flirting with another guy in front of me, or whatever it might be. Like, say for the kink and BDSM stuff, it was like, you know, I imagine how fucking hard you would orgasm with my hand around your throat. And then next thing, you know, you feel a body reaction to that. Like, you feel them get wetter, you feel them tense up, you know, you see them like shock in their eyes that you said it. And then that continues those pathways in your mind that, oh, this is pleasurable, this is fun, this is cool. Might not still be able to do it, but it's cool to see how much it turns them on for me to find some confidence in that space. Does that land?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so dirty talk can be really fun.
Dirty talk.
Dirty talk.
Dirty talk.
Yeah, ChatGPT is really great for it.
Have you tried it out?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm going to try it out.
First thing I fucking did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's creative. I fucking love that. I'm going to try that out now.
But actually, like,
It's really good.
Hey,
So you say to ChatGPT, talk dirty to me? Or
I'll say ChatGPT, write a dirty message to my girlfriend about her coming whilst I choke her.
Edit, send.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
So, like, type of message about how I want to take my wife on a dirty weekend away where we have lots of sex. Takes a little bit of finesse to chat GPT, as you know, like, to get the questions right. But anyway, that's good fun. So, safety, curiosity, play. What we were just talking about then, being vulnerable to be able to, like, embrace your kinks and your fantasies and your desire, actually creates more trust. I trust somebody. I trust you guys more that we had that conversation about what your favorite sex positions are than somebody who would be like, oh, no, I don't like talking about that.
Maybe you didn't say it.
No, yours is different. You were like, oh, there's too many. Bunch of-
Positions, it's like.
Yeah.
Started writing something down.
No, it's fine. But you know what I mean? Like if you have like a big Barney with a partner, right? And they let their emotions out, you get to see them, like it's hard to watch, but also afterwards when things cool down, you kind of feel a little bit more connected to them because you've seen their ugly, you've seen their dirty side, you've seen the shit, the grit, and you're like, well, I still choose them. They still choose me. You know, let's do the things together. All right. When somebody is vulnerable enough to be like, you know what? I love the sex that we've been having. Fucking honestly, your turbo doggy's top notch. However, I've also been thinking about this. Like when I've been touching myself, or one of the girls at work was talking about this thing, and you're like, whoa, okay, cool. Tell me more about that. Don't have to do it. Doesn't have to be played out. But there's like that vulnerability piece creates trust. Then you get confidence, and you get, everything flows from there. That's why I talk about there needs to be more conversations about sex outside the bedroom and inside the bedroom. Another key to better sex. Talk shit. Talk heaps, tons of shit. Yeah. But that shit talk comes from the safety that we've created. Awesome. All right. Willies and vaginas. Is you're going to have to share these. I'm going to talk about us first. I've only got a few of these. So have to share them around. You guys, all right.
You need it?
No, I'm good. I know this shit inside out, back front. So, even with my eyes closed, I can navigate my way around this shit.
Look up the name of that muscle as well. And it's fucking really hard to
Okay.
pronounce.
All right.
We'll circle back to that later.
Sure. So talking about like the male anatomy and like the specifics of the sexual orgasms or organs. So we all know, we've got our cock, right? We've got, think about the shaft of your cock. Think about like the base of your cock. Think about, the glands on the end, the head, the knob. It is the major erogenous zone of the male body, as we all know. It's like the most sensitive part of our entire body, pretty much. It's the clitoris of the man, right? So when you're thinking about, what is the most sensitive spot? What's the thing most likely to make a man come? It is stimulation to the gland. Yeah. And when you're thinking about that in real life, which is why I brought Mr. Purple along, like
That's his official name.
can be now. I prefer Bruce. Let's call him Bruce. Hey, Bruce. So when, like in physical form from that diagram, you've got the major nerve packets here in your knob. Then you've got the connective tissue that connects your urethra down to the shaft of your cock called the frenulum. This is also extremely, extremely sensitive. Like silky smooth patch of skin, whether you're circumcised, not circumcised, it's still kind of there. Very, very sensitive to feather touch, like light stimulation. Coming down, like most men have got that seam that runs down their cock all the way through their balls, down to their asshole. Following that down, your nerve packets basically run through that underside. It's like, the underside of your arm, like that's the sensitive part. So coming all the way down through the center of your ball sack down to your perineum, which is like this obviously section here. We all know where it is, just in here between your ball sack and your arsehole. Some people call it the taint because it taint the cock and it taint the bum. It's a bit in between. Yeah. So
Did you say the tank?
the taint.
Oh, the tank.
The taint.
Gosh.
The taint. So obviously
I know what you don't know.
your balls and your testes are extremely sensitive too. It's a different type of touch. Some people like, firm squeeze. Some people like feather touch. Some people don't like them being fucking any sort of focus whatsoever. But that's all about practice. Like we can practice that with our self-pleasure, and then we have the capacity to give feedback to our partners. So this is why self-pleasure is so important, because the more that we know our own body, the more we can ask for what we want, or give feedback on whether something feels good or not. Or someone says like, I really want to turn you on. You're like, well, fuck, I've got a map right here. Let's go. So moving down testicles, have a play about what sort of touch you like to feel there. Obviously you can't suck your own balls, but in my opinion, I've met many people that don't like that. So give that a whirl. If somebody's asking you what you like, go nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are into it. Like there's ball torture. There's like people love that shit. Like ball cages, cock cages, all sorts of things. But then moving down to your perineum, one of the really interesting parts of the perineum is that like if you're touching down there, explore until you can find the space down there that's spongy. It's like a button. And when you can push into that button, you can actually stimulate your prostate through your perineum. So that's something to play with. A lot of people like sort of dilly-dally around your perineum, but it can actually tolerate like some really firm pressure, like quite significant pressure. And when you push into that spongy part, you can actually activate, like feel your prostate through there. So that's something to play with self-pleasure. And if you've got a partner who's a fucking boss and like saying, you know, tell me how to give you a good blowy or handy J, then you can say, oh, you know, try pushing in here whilst you're doing it. Also a very good way to recirculate your ejaculation. If you're trying to play with like non-ejaculative orgasms, when you get up to that 7, you can really pump on that perineum and it recirculates the like the semen part. So you can almost like stop the semen coming out from the end of your cock by pushing into that.
And masturbate yet the fuck I'm going to.
Yeah. You'll know you need to, if you're going to play with that, you need to do it like maybe a little bit earlier, like a 6, building to 7, because if you get too close, it ends up recirculating it into your bladder. It's not terrible, but you'll know that if you've done that when you go and do like a piss afterwards, if it's a bit like milky and bubbly, it means that some of the semen's gone into your bladder. But yeah, if you try and catch that a little bit earlier, start to practice it. And it's handy if you're having like really hot steamy sex and you know you're about to come and you want to try and like hold on for a little bit longer, you can sort of slow down a little bit and pump on that. Sort of.
So at what point does it heighten it, and at what point does it?
So it heightens it like so it's kind of like we'll talk about it with girls. Like a lot of people are going to know like the G-spot fingers. So it's kind of like if you're getting a hand job or a blow job, like it's kind of that pump because you're like almost like pumping blood into the prostate and into your cock. Whereas when you're trying to like recirculate, it's a push and it's a hold.
Or almost like blocking it off.
Yeah.
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 Like putting a kink in the hose.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you think about like you're trying to stop a piss whilst you run into the toilet, it's kind of like
I just need specifics because I get caught in the first hurdle all the time and I'm like, oh fuck.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good.
I love the questions.
Good.
So yeah, moving down to like that's perineum space. Like moving back up to like we'll just go a couple of steps back to the gland. The gland of your cock is different in the fact that it responds well to various touches. So playing with contrast in your touch or somebody else's touch is really valuable. So if you're self-pleasuring, try, you know, firm touch, try like feather touch, try like, you know, slidey, like lubricated touch. And well, if you're self-pleasuring and you've just been like tracking the tree for years and years, to be able to activate those nerves in your cock, you do need to play with a bit of contrast, like to get your penis like resensitized to stimulation. I use with my work lots of male masturbators for guys to get away from this. There's a bit of a taboo around the fleshlights. But when it comes to training your body for actual sex and stimulation, it actually feels very similar. So if you're going to work with edging and with breath and, you know, these sorts of tools, or you just want to get away from this, then male masturbator is a fantastic tool.
Dream as a teenager.
I got a box of them at home. I should have brought a few. I just get sent shit. Like Love Honey sends me heaps of shit. I got like I had a girl staying at my house for a couple of weeks, and she's a good friend of mine, and I messaged her, and she stayed in my bedroom one night, and I had to get the kids ready for work, and I was like, oh, there's some leftovers in the fridge, and if you look in the bedside table, there's a fucking shit ton of brand new vibrators if you want to have a good time. And she was like, what a great friend. So yeah, like playing with male masturbators can be really good, but if you don't have one, you don't want to buy one, you can do this similar thing with your hands with lubricant, basically by playing with different pressures and playing with different like sensations. Moving down to the prostate, it's basically our G-spot. That's, there's a whole new world up there if you're willing to be curious and play. It is a great world. And like, I'll be honest with you guys, for a long time, I had some hang-ups around butt play for me. What does it mean about me? Does it mean I'm gay? Does it mean that I'm weird? Whatever. All those sorts of things ran through my mind. And the first time I played with butt play, I asked my wife to peg me with a strap-on dildo, and
0 to 100.
Went straight in.
oh no, sorry, that wasn't the first time. We'd done like fingers and like little vibrators and stuff like that, but the first time I asked somebody to fuck me, I was like, fuck, what does this mean about me? Oh my god, fuck. Am I gonna love it? Am I gonna hate it? Like, oh shit. And it actually created a fuckload of trust in my body to know that this is where my G-spot is, and I can only access it if I'm courageous enough to try something and be curious. Doesn't mean anything about me. Doesn't mean anything about the person. It just means that I'm willing to go somewhere where a lot of people don't go. So if you want to know a little bit around anal play, I'm interested in this information.
Sure, go.
All right. Okay. So, and this works for guys and for girls. Actually, I'll go and grab my other model. I'll put her away.
I'm hard.
So this is Sophia.
Yeah,
Dusty, but shit, she's done some workshops. She's never had a cock in her though. Can promise that. So like when you're that I know of, the boys might have, kids might have found it, I guess. So fucking hell, that's another thought. I don't want to think about that.
Oh, fuck.
They call these two cupboards that I keep in my workshop in the weird cupboard. So
Going to the weird cupboard today.
when we moved in, I was like, boys, there's nothing in those two cupboards for you. There's no toys in there. There's no fun shit. There's absolutely nothing that a child would like in there. And they're like,
Red flag.
that's sad. And then like a couple of days later, I saw them like giving it the side look. I was like, do you guys go in the cupboard? And I'm like, yeah.
Of course they did.
And I'm like, was there anything fun in there? No, it's just weird shit. They're 9.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So
Just weird shit.
it's just weird shit. You're a fucking weird dad. Yeah.
4 more years, that's not weird. That's
Yeah, literally.
Love the kings of the castle.
All right, so anal play. Just this is a quick turbo 101 with anal play. Just pretend there's no pussy there, that there's just a bumhole. Think about like the fact that we do sometimes have hang-ups, shame, guilt, tension around playing with your bum. Okay, so know that if you are going to play with your bum, think about like complementary stimulation to that area. So, massaging your butt crease, like under your butt, like your hips, like bringing some stimulation and blood flow into your butt cheeks, bring like a flat palm, like into your butt crack, into your butt area. This is the same if you're doing it to somebody else or to yourself. So you're starting with starting outside and you're working your way in towards. If you do start to work in towards and you decide, yep, I'm going to start to play with my butt, then that's the instant moment when you have to bring lubricant in, and spitting on your hand is not lubricant. All right. I know we've all done it. I'll probably still do it from time to time. But if you're going to want a high quality like experience of play, you need high quality lubricant. If you go and buy the $10 bottle from Coles, you're going to get a $10 experience. All right. Spend some money on some good lube. Best lube out there is called Uber Lube. Yeah. Yeah.
Hoorah.
That's a silicon based one. If you want a water based one, Sliquid is the next best one. UBER. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
You'll get anything in anywhere with that shit.
It's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
just- yeah.
It's good, hey?
It's everything else just throw it out.
Yeah.
And coconut,
Oil.
I love coconut.
Coconut oil is really good too.
But that Uber lube, like it'll last for ages. The
Yeah.
pump bottle.
You only need a tiny
You
spit.
don't need much.
Yeah.
Like taking that off
Yeah.
because it warms
There's
up.
another coconut based one called Slippery Cocoa, which is very similar to Uber Lube.
Yeah, right.
But coconut oil is brilliant, but you just need to, with coconut oil, because the hotter it gets, the thinner it gets, you need to make sure that you've got like plenty of it, like reapply. Don't be afraid to reapply your lube.
Good job.
So if we've worked our way from the outside, we're working our way in. When you do want to get closer in, it's not like we're not going straight in with fingers, yeah? Unless you're confident and you're happy to do that. Like if you want like a really nice chill experience, start to use like the heel of your hand here, especially if you're doing this on somebody else, you know, their butt's presented up. Start to bring the heel of your hand into their anus, into the butthole, and like circular motion. So you're almost like pulling it away from itself. Then if you want to go a little bit deeper, use your knuckle and start to like work your way in circles from the inside out, circles inside out. If you want to go internally, then just start up to your first knuckle and you're breathing. Breath comes into this as well. So we've got two sphincter muscles in our anus. There's heaps of sphincter muscles in our body. It's just a name for a circular muscle. But your first sphincter is the external one. That one we do have some bodily control over. Like you can clench it. It's the one that you use to snap off a poo, hot and fart, those sorts of things. So it responds to our demands, but it also responds to breath as well. So normally on a big breath out, it will loosen. The next one in is the second sphincter, and it's normally like only just as far as your first knuckle. If you are going to have anal play, either on yourself or somebody else, that's the one that hurts. That's the one that stings. So if you're stressed or whatever, and you feel like you're about to split in half, it's the second one. The second one we don't have bodily control over. The only way you can control it is through breath. So breathing out and relaxing. It's the only way. It will just respond to stress all on its own. Interesting enough, scientific fact, I know you'll love this because you're studying psychology. Oh, yeah. It actually responds to compliments as well. Breath and compliments. Yeah.
Number two sphincter.
Number two, sphincter. Breath and compliments. So I love playing with you. Like your butt's so sexy. This is turning me on so much. You're so beautiful. Like, you know, oh, your butthole so warm and juicy and like, oh, you know,
Get in there.
all those things. And it's just like, oh.
Yeah, get in there.
With female bodies, transversely, I'm worrying about who's walking past. Their pussy, like their lubrication, responds to nipple stimulation and compliments as well. So it's like got a direct correlation to their lubrication. So if you're like gently, roughly, whatever, stimulating their nipples and complimenting them on whatever it is that they like to be complimented on.
I usually can't do that because they're in my mouth.
I heard you got I like on your haircut.
Josh, fucking hell.
You got your nails done with
I
that?
got one of your nipple hairs in your teeth, but I don't mind because I love you.
I love it.
So your butthole, like your second sphincter, breath, and compliments. So if you're in up to your first finger and you know, there's no pain, you know, you're happy and you want to go further, only ever penetrate on an out breath. Push in. Oh, wow.
Hey,
Oh,
got a friend up there.
He's learning too.
oh
Oh, hey, buddy. Tell your buddies. So breath in, hold, breath out, a little bit of pressure. And let the gentle pressure do the work. Eventually the butt will just suck it in. Like once it's relaxed enough with just the slightest amount of pressure, as you breathe in and then you breathe out, it'll literally like go in there. So there shouldn't be pain. There shouldn't be tearing with any sort of anal play if you're slow enough, patient enough, and you use your breath wisely. Okay. If there is clenching, like you feel yourself clenching or you feel your partner clenching, encourage the clench harder. Take a big breath in, clench on the breath out, let go. It's almost like, you're trying to relax after like a big footy game or workout, like you can tense your muscles up like yoga nidra and then relax them. You get more relaxation rather than fighting the tense, then going with the tense, but not moving. Like if there's a clench, pause, encourage the clench, big breath in, breath out, go for it. So about activating your prostate. So think the prostate's going to be on the upper wall. If you're laying on your ass, like on your back, think up and in. Same as if you're doing the G-spot for the girls, you're going up and in, and it'll feel like a little like plum size, like bulbous, spongy thing. Make sure you haven't got sharp nails on, be gentle with it and be like curious. So you can like just start with like little circles. Once you find it, you'll find it because it'll feel like pressure, a bit of pressure inside your body. You definitely notice it. And just be gentle, start to do some little circles, start to do some little presses, some little pumps, maybe just hold it for a little minute, knowing the fact that if you haven't had much like stimulation in that area, it's going to feel weird. It's going to like, just because it's the male G-spot doesn't mean it's going to be orgasm city when you press it the first time or you go near it the first time. It's going to be a different sensation than what you probably felt before. However, like the more that you do it with safety, the more confidence you get around it. And yeah, a lot of guys, the first time that they do activate their prostate, they don't even get hard because there's a lot of sensation there. So they'll be flaccid, but it's like, okay, now I know what that feels like. Interesting, cool. I didn't turn gay. Yeah, I didn't like turn into a frog or whatever. Like I found it, feels good, cool. Life moves on. And then you might like start to try it like whilst you're giving yourself a hand job, someone else is giving you a hand job whilst getting a blow job during sex, and just see what sort of stimulation feels good. Obviously, when you're coming out, big deep breath out, coming out. And that goes for like fingers, toys, cocks, whatever it might be. Same rules. Breathe in, out, encourage the clench, all that. If somebody's finding it painful, do not move. Pause, stay still, don't try and push through. Just let them breathe and relax. Awesome. That is a little bit about the male pleasure anatomy. If everyone wants to flip over to the other back page. So yeah, this one here. So this is talking a little bit about the erogenous zones of the body. So when I think erogenous zones, I kind of think the tickle spots of the body, like the highly sensitive areas, like back of the neck. Some people fucking just love getting their earlobes pulled. It's kind of different from person to person. Like the sacrum is just like that flat area of your back, just above the tailbone. And all of these areas can respond to different type of stimulation. So whether it's a firm touch, squeezy touch, scratchy touch, feather touch, these are all the things that we can play with whilst we're self-pleasuring to bring like extra stimulation into your body, and your partner as well. You could have a whole play session on just like seeing what different types of stimulation your partner likes on these different areas. You can get a kitchen fork out if you want, and like play with like soft, scratchy touch. you
I
know,
never thought of that until you said the other day that you got the fork out and whatever. And I was like,
brilliant. You can put it in the freezer. You can put it in hot water. Like fork is like one of my favorite sex tools. Sounds super weird, but like you can play with the tines, just dragging them. You can put firm pressure on. You can just get one of the tines and scratch. You can use the butt of it to impact play. You can use the blade of it to like scrape along the skin. Like it's a,
when you said that the other day, I was like, fuck, forks.
yeah, honestly, put a blindfold on your partner.
We're going to use it on the forks, did you?
It's got like one of those big ones.
Honestly, like that's a great play session for me. Like you know, taking some big deep breaths in together, getting some trust, getting a container, put the blindfold on, like even create a ceremony around undressing them, like super slow, one piece of clothing at a time. Lay them down. You know, how do you like this? Tell me about this. Like, what's this on a scale of 1 to 5 of pleasure? Great time. Don't even have to fuck. It's like turns me on to turn other people on. So that's a good time. But yeah, so all of these can be like complementary stimulation, but they could be the whole game. So just remember that. Like we don't just have to focus on the cocks and the vaginas. There's a whole fucking other field to play with. Flipping it over, just goes down to more anatomy type stuff. Self-pleasure, whilst I'm just talking about it with a guy's cock. I just want to give you guys some different tools to be able to play with when you're touching your body. I don't know if we've talked about this before, maybe we have. So like we all know the monkey wank. Yes. So it's just some different types to bring in, and you can teach this to your partner as well. These are all tantra practices. Like some of the boys here have experienced them. But you talk about cock shiatsu. So basically you're creating a ring with your fingers and you're just squeezing your cock from the bottom all the way to the top, and you're squeezing hard. Like it can take some firm pressure, and you're basically like pumping blood into your cock. This is a really good tool if you're flaccid and you're in play and you want to get hard, rather than like just wanking off on your hard dick. Literally like pump the juice into your cock, and eventually it'll start to get a little bit of arousal and
Turn into a mushroom.
yeah. So yep, that's one. And then there's the rinser, basically, which is where you sort of pull your cock over towards your hip bone, your hip crease, and you're basically like rinsing it. So lubricant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're just rinsing out a rag. So opposite twist. And again, play with different pressures there. There's the juicer, which is where you would have lubricant on your hands or on their hands, and they're rinsing here, and then it's like you're juicing a orange on top.
That's a sure way to come down. That one.
Yeah, that'll fucking send me over the edge every single time. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other,
No doubt.
Yep. Other one, yeah. The other one.
I remember it from Thursday night. Yeah, all right, try the juicer. I just laughed. And then I was like, fuck.
Yes, juicer, yes.
Well, when I was there like earlier in the day on both Thursdays, and EJ was demonstrating on me for all of the girls. So there was like 18 strange tantrikas like moaning, groaning, breathing around me. So I was naked on the floor, and I knew that because I'd done it last time. I knew that the juicer was coming, and like the whole EJ needed me to stay hard and to not come for the demonstration to work. And I was like, fuck, just come. Oh, fuck. Hey, yeah. And EJ knows I love it. She's like, how's that one, Luke? I was like, pretty good. Very nice, actually. But yeah, so that one's brilliant. Like, if you really want to work with edging, and work with hyperstimulation, let's go. Next one is the infinite penetrator. So you basically, yeah.
Penetrator.
So it's basically just like with lots of lube on your hands, you're just going over.
soon as the first one came out, I was gone. I was just,
Yeah.
so they could fucking been talking about everything and I've got no
Yeah.
idea what they were talking about.
There's rock around the
That's the one.
rock around the clock, rock around the clock. I think
Or whatever.
that's another really good way to get yourself hard as well. Like if you're flaccid, so you basically like picture my legs going this way, my body up this way as I'm facing, and you're basically like grabbing your clock and you're pulling it in like the different times of the clock. And again, you just like bring blood flow into your cock. There's the long, I think it's called the long rider or the long strider, basically where you bring like the flat fingers of your hand down to your perineum, and then you drag up through the center of your balls, all the way up through the base of your cock. And this is going to be like laying down in your stomach. And then you basically like feather touch at the end. So you're just dragging blood from your prostate up through your balls, up through your cock, and then whether it's feather touch or a hard touch, and you're just like constantly stroking through. So they're just a couple of little tools to use. Sound good? Any cock questions?
What's the backhand one? Like literally pulling down.
Yeah, I don't know the name for that, but that is one of the ones that you get taught in sexology.
Yes.
Yeah. So like in sex,
The grader.
cheese grater, yeah. Like in sexology, they teach us how like to really like start to masturbate in different positions. So it's like, you know, basically standing up, sitting down, leg up, leaning over, like all the different things, but then like masturbating with your cock in different positions as well, and really like unprogramming your brain about what penetration and sex looks like, so that you can really focus on the human, the moment, and the sensation, rather than your brain being like, so there's wet, warm friction, that means I come. So like, yeah, it's like all sorts of different ones, but they're kind of just some basics. Cool. So we'll flip over to the tricky babes.
I'm just going to close that door.
Yeah, right. Right. So who knows where the clitoris is? Everyone found it? You found it? Yeah? Super confident?
Yeah, pretty confident.
Come point him out for me.
Under the hood there.
Ah! Love it. Perfect. Winner. Chicken dinner.
That was probably a trick question.
It's
I don't know.
different on everybody, but
I think it's you.
so yeah, like when we're thinking about like female anatomy, all the erogenous zones still apply. Yeah, so they can be the whole game or they can be complementary. Do not forget that. Women, as EJ was talking about on Sunday, they start to open up their pussies from their heart first. So it's about connection, safety, trust, and then their body creates the availability for erotic stimulation. Yeah, we connect through our cock, through the base of our cock. Like even when you think about when a guy's penetrating, we're trying to penetrate so that the very base of our cock meets that person. You know, it's fun to like, you know, tease and just put just the tip, but like it's an ingrained thing in the male body that we want our base to meet them. We're trying to get as close as possible. They want to meet here first, and then everything opens up. So consider that when you're trying to pleasure or stimulate a woman, you need to be able to connect with them. You need to be able to commune with them, and they need to be able to feel safe in intimacy, and then the orgasm is available. Doesn't go the other way. Somebody can come up to me and say, hey, do you want to fuck? Do you want to come? Absolutely, let's do it. And then afterwards have a deep conversation. Goes the other way with girls. Very simplified, but it's basically the way it works. You could probably tell us more about the psychology of that, but that's another time. So like looking at this middle photo of the clit, we can probably all agree that it actually looks very similar to a cock and balls. Yeah, we're basically very similar down there, just different sizing. But again, the little knob, the clitoral head, is like that's the danger zone, like our gland is. That's the major nerve packet for the female erogenous zones. So just like for us, like if somebody comes in, you know, with a handful of lube and starts rubbing your knob, sometimes it can be a little bit like, ooh, you know, like you're getting turned inside out a little bit. So it's the same for girls. Like you got to be wary about the clitoris. It's a erectile tissue, so it can extend and retract depending on how much it's being stimulated, how much blood flow is brought into it. It needs to be engorged with blood flow for it not to get scared and go away. So that's why there needs to be like, you know, foreplay and turn on and all that sort of stuff. So you've got like the clitoral legs sort of come down into the thighs. That's why women actually really like stimulation in their inner thighs, because there's like the clitoris extends into that, and then the clitoral bulbs are like a little bit further down, like in this area here, which again is why there is stimulus in these areas. So working from top to bottom with the female pleasure anatomy, pubis mondus up here, pubic bone, otherwise known as, and the clitoris retracts back into here. So this area is like erogenous up here. It can be stimulated just from firm pressure, often just like a slightly firm hand there and some little circles can be a really great way to start. So just bring this in. Some feather touch across here can be good as well. So bring some contrast. Firm touch, feather touch. Yeah. So moving down, you've got your clitoral hood. This is, you know, like our foreskin. It's protecting the clit. It obviously can be stimulated as well. Sometimes you can almost feel the clit running through it, like a tiny little boner. But you just got to sort of be gentle with that. It's not as stimulative to the female then, you know, rubbing that can feel a little bit weird for them. So like an odd sensation. So it's more just bringing some blood flow, bringing some attention to it. Obviously, if you pull the clitoral hood back, you often will find the clitoris, but depending on the female, some of them present, some of them don't. Some of them are out there for you to see. Like the clitoral hoods range in size, so the labia, you just gotta manage what's in there. But knowing that that's where it's located, sometimes you'll have to bring the clitoral hood back to expose it. So moving down the sides, the outer labia, and then perineum, anus, inner labia. So both the clitoral hood and the inner labia can be stimulated. Like if you're using lubricant, sometimes it can feel really good for them for you to just rub them together. A lot of women store trauma in their inner labia. There's trauma around what it looks like. There's trauma around like generational trauma from all sorts of shit that's happened to women over the years. So this area is if you go in and play with this space, make sure you connect with them with your breath. You know, some eye contact sometimes, like let them know, you know, really love being here with you. I love your pussy. You know, just create safety around when you're touching the labia. But it can be squeezed, it can be pulled, it can be rubbed together. Yeah, good time. Also, like running like a wet finger up between the inner and outer labia is very sensational. And just again, with all of these areas, just playing with firm touch and soft touch, firm touch and soft touch, and seeing what body response you get. Female perineum is still pretty responsive to pleasure. Some hate it, some love it. It's just about giving it a whirl and seeing what feedback you get. You can try with lubricant. You know, if it's somebody that's stressed out about anal play, like they really don't want anal play, if you're gonna play with perineum, make sure you let them know, I'm really, you know, loving stimulating your gooch or your perineum. Let them know that you're just hanging there and you're not gonna try and sneak one in. Yeah. We talked about the butt stuff. Same deal. Girls, boys, it's all the same. The the space of like silky smooth skin between the clitoris and the vestibule, the vaginal opening, again is called the frenulum. Frenulum is just a name for a connective tissue. So that silky smooth bit between the clit and the opening is very, very stimulative to like a firm, slow touch with lube. There's also like, there's another hole in there, the urethra. Please, none of you guys ever be one of these guys that I see on Instagram that think that there's only 2 holes. There's 3 holes. So urethra, vaginal opening, anus. Yeah. Depending on the human, some women like really get eked out by stimulus around their urethra. So just feedback, like, well, how, does that feel good? Do you like, I'm gonna push firmer? Like, do you want a little bit softer? How's that feel for you? And you'll know if they don't like it. They'll be like, oh, maybe move on to somewhere else. The frenulum is very, very erogenous in that area. Vaginal opening. Everyone knows about the vaginal opening. It's self-lubricated, but in my opinion, you can never have too much lube. Don't be one of those guys. It's like, if it's too much lube, I can't feel anything. You can fucking feel something. Just give it a go. Like, the last thing that you want to do is fuck somebody and then be walking around with red raw labia for the next 2 days and be resenting the fact that you fucked, and then be turned off the next time that you fucked. Like, use lube. Please, use lube. Spit is not lube. So
Is that going to be one of the things that you record tonight?
Yeah. Literally had sex with someone last week and used spit as lube, but but that I wasn't teaching a workshop then. So vaginal opening, again, like, kind of like it responds to compliments, and it responds to safety. So even if you're putting something in there, just take a beat, take a breath to present whatever it is that you're putting in. Let it get familiar, and then let it open to it. Yeah, like, unless it's like hot sex play, you're like playing with some rough stuff, and you're like, when you fucking shove your fingers in or whatever it is, and that's part of the game. Sure, but if you're going for like pleasure and stimulus, just present whatever it is. Let them take some breaths. Let them get familiar with it, and it will suck you in. Yeah. So going internal, we've got the clitoris, but then behind the clitoris, the clitoris is actually fucking huge. So behind the clitoris is where the G-spot presents, also known as the clitoral cluster, also known as the urethral sponge. So when you go in, it's normally like 1 or 2 inches in, only maybe second knuckle on the upper wall. It's like a spongy bulbous patch that sometimes has perforations at the top of your mouth. So like you'll know it when you feel it. All women are different. Like, they're all going to feel slightly different. Some of them like are really presenting. Some of them are really low hanging. Some of them are bulbous. Some of them flat up on the wall. And the only way you can find it is through those little grooves. So, and be watching the person that you're with so that you know when you've hit it. Like, you'll see them be like, yummy. So you're going in, and first things first, if I ever penetrate anybody with a finger, is I de-armor. So de-armoring is basically like letting their body open to the fact that something's penetrating them. So de-armoring is when you go in and you just gently press on all of the walls in a circle. So you're pressing and you're holding and you're pressing, like you're almost doing the hook finger, but gently. And then if you want to, once you've done a lap of that, you can almost do like a circular lap. Just letting them know, hey, I'm in here and I'm not coming to attack you. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I'm here to pleasure you. Yeah. Once you do want to, if you do want to find the G spot, then firm upward pressure. It can take fucking like really firm pressure. Yeah. But again, you're looking for body feedback, even asking questions. How does that feel? But start slow, nice slow pressure. And you can either do the come hither finger, as in like you're pushing all the way in and then you're pulling back, because in that way you're pulling blood flow towards the clitoris, like the clitoral cluster itself. That is the come hither, or you can pump on the G spot. So combining, like, the highest rate for orgasm for women is a combined G-spot and clitoral orgasm. There's only like a very small percentage of women out there that will come just from straight penetration. If you've got a unicorn, fucking go you. Most women come from clitoral stimulation, but when you combine G-spot and clitoral stimulation, you got a much better chance if that's what you're going for. Okay, but
So many more men need to know that.
yeah,
Yeah, what's the percentage?
I think it's like I think it's less than 18% of
Yeah.
women for penetration.
Some of the blokes just run around thinking,
You know, I must be one of the lucky ones then, eh?
I'm
Yeah.
doing it. There you go.
No, it's bash you after.
Which like bash themselves up about that, just thinking that they, because their partner doesn't orgasm with them during penetration.
Yeah.
I was like that until you realise it is that low percentage.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to happen.
Well, it's that radical acceptance around the fact
Yeah.
that if I do want my partner to come with me, or I want to make them come, then you have to get curious about their body and radically accept how their body works.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of women out there that have shame around touching themselves during intimacy. If you want your partner to come, you want to watch them come, help them feel comfortable with that. Like do what you need to do. Like I'd love to watch you, see how you touch yourself when, you're touching yourself. I'd love, I want to see you with your hand on whilst I'm fucking you, like create that safety. Even toys are great as well for that. Like toys that you can use whilst you're together, you're communing together. So ones that can be in between your body. It's like lots of little different vibrators and stuff like that. I personally prefer like body stimulation, like hands and that sort of thing. I kind of call it the difference between junk food orgasms and gourmet orgasms. Like if you've got the time and the patience and the body capacity to make yourself come with just your body, that's gourmet to me. But if you just want to knock one out, you get the vibrator out, and not everyone's got that sort of time. So go for it. But yeah, so if you're going for G-spot stimulation, it's the pump or it's the come hither. And again, you're thinking about this as the energy zone. This is where we want the blood to come. This is where we want the engorgement. If they're not self-lubricating, again, use lubrication, depending on where women are on their cycle, how old they are. All of that sort of stuff plays into like their lubrication. All of that stuff plays into how their libido is going to be too. Like you'll find women who are in the ovulation cycle, so the week straight after their bleed, and normally like got a much higher libido, much more chance of doing dirty shit in that week. It's true. And it's true. Honestly, if you've got a partner,
Lock in the date.
and have a chat to your partner about them tracking their period. Yeah, that you can get period tracking apps where like in the morning they just take the temperature, and you can have the app on your phone too. Fucking game changer for when you're gonna have challenging conversations, when you're gonna plan holidays, like when you're gonna like have date night. If you're only having date night once a fucking month, then ovulation week's a week. Yeah. The week to go on holidays somehow always ends up being period week. But like also if you don't know, then you got no one else to blame but yourself. So like consider that. That's another key for good sex, knowing where your partner is on their cycle. Yeah, you know when it's time to hold them, and you know when it's time to, get edgy. Cool. So the cervix in women presents about halfway along their vaginal cavity on the inside. So it'll be like center, but it almost presents like a little cock. Like it feels like a little cock, looks like a little cock. It's got a shaft, it's got a bulbous end, and it's got a tiny little opening just like our urethra. It's also got a spot called the A spot, which presents just above the cervix where it pokes in. So you might have been like in a certain position, like maybe them up on the couch and you down below, and your cock might have been like sliding along that upper wall, and it sort of hits the spot, and all of a sudden that like, oh fuck, that feels good. That's probably because you've gone in deep enough and your cock's getting caught on like rather than going in and past, because their vaginal cavity moves past here. Sometimes you might have been having sex and felt like your cock's clicking past something. It's normally it's clicking past the cervix. And if your cock's digging up into that space there, it'll be hitting the A spot, which is just another big patch of nerves. It's very hard to reach with your fingers. There is a move that you can do. I forget the name of it. We learn about it in sexology, where you like have one finger in, one finger bent, and this finger's hitting the G spot and this finger's hitting the A spot. But their cervix also moves in presentation throughout the cycle. So it going back and forth all the time. Like, you know, if it's ovulation week, then it's coming down close because it wants to be close for the spermies to be able to hit home. If it's not, then it's back out the way for fun times, basically. So there's the A spot. Wouldn't stress too much about the A spot unless you're willing to use toys or, you know, your partner wants you to help find them. Women can have cervical orgasms as well. So this cervix is super, super sensitive, like the cock in our penis. They're lucky they've got two cocks. But like, it's like if you're going to be able to touch it, it's like very gentle touch, like circles and then side to side across that little opening, circles side to side. Cervical orgasms are kind of like our prostate orgasms. Apparently they're like portal opening, like mind-boggling, mind-bending, really big. But like our prostate, it's very sensitive. So when it does start to get stimulated, the girls are kind of a bit like, you know, just got to get comfortable with it. So that's available as well if you want to explore that. So clitoris, G-spot, A-spot, cervix, they're the main type of orgasms. Women can have anal orgasms as well. We haven't got time to get too much into that, but that takes a lot of safety, and you need to be practicing anal sex like once a week, basically, for the body to be able to detension enough for it to feel that like erotic and erogenous.
That stuff's more energetic though.
Yeah.
That sort of orgasm.
It is, yeah. It is more energetic. It's more like the moment, the time, the experience, the energy share. It's the fact that they can basically, you know, women can orgasm from getting the nipple sucked. Like I've done it, I've seen it. It's a matter of them being able to focus on the stimulation and energetically roll that through them and create the body tension and the release, like almost reverse engineer that climactical contraction and release, and then their body just basically hormonally makes it happen. So all of that. Talking about sense, like I'll do the same thing that I did with the cock. Like if someone was going to ask me to pleasure them with their hands, this would be my playbook, very basic playbook. I would start with like firm flat hand on their pubis mundus, bring in some firm pressure, some circles, you know, some light sensations, some firm pressure, some circles. I would move my flat hand down over their pussy and just again hold it there and breathe. And just bring, I know this looks super weird, but hang on.
I love when you look at me in the eye and you just.
What are you talking about, Michael? But like again, firm flat pressure and circles. Loop, I would have loop at this point already. Because it's just like you're just connecting, just breathing, just creating safety. I would then, like using my fingers, come down the outside of the outer labia and just bring, again, firm pressure and light pressure through here. So I'm not always thinking about this. It's just that I have this inner knowledge about this shit. But you're thinking about bringing blood flow out and in and safety. So I would have lube by this point, be just making some circles, bringing some firm and light pressure to the outer labia. I would then come in between the two labias and just bring some pinching to like the clitoral hood and to the labia. And I'll just repeat that a bunch of times. Outer labia, inner labia, maybe one at a time. And then this is like trick, a diagonal swipe from like one bottom corner up and over the whole way. That's just like clearing the board almost. So before I move from one type of stimulation and I'm going to go to something else, I'll clear the board diagonally up and across. Just feels good. I've never
It's
met.
just science, Gav.
There's a really good book. It's on the back page of this called She Comes First by Ian Kerner, and he gives lots of play by play on oral sex. It's brilliant. Like if you want to get better at giving head, read that fucking book.
Where is it?
It's on the back page of these books. So if you want to great book.
All good bookstores.
If you get it on Audible, it's only like 4 hours. So like 1 week driving to and from work, you can get through it. So yeah, he talks a lot about the diagonal swipe, but I just call it like clearing the board. Then I would come and I'd just lay my finger in between the inner labias, like straight down across, like laying across the clitoral hood, laying across the vaginal opening. Whilst I'm here, I'm just like bringing some circles in again, and not bringing a lot of pressure or stimulation to the clit, not scaring it away just yet. Yeah. Whilst you're there, you're going to collect a bit of their wetness from their vaginal opening and use that to drag up over the frenulum, that silky bit that runs between the opening and the air clit, dragging up, and slow down as you're going over the frenulum, put a little bit of pressure in there, as if like there's a bone there, you should be able to push and feel the bone. So just slow, pause, press and feel that bone. Then come up, and the first maybe 5 swipes, I wouldn't even touch the clit, not even go near it, not yet. And then just doing that like over and over, collecting more wetness, pulling it up, pressing on the frenulum, collecting wetness, pressing on the frenulum. Yeah. And then after a bunch of swipes, then you're going to bring your finger up and just lightly brush over the clit. Just tickling it, just teasing it. And then, as you're playing more, you might pause and press, or you might pause and drag over, and you're just watching, seeing how they react, seeing how they move. You might be with somebody that just likes their fucking clit punched like a punching bag. Yeah? But you're in control. You're in charge here. You're pleasuring them. You're getting more turned on from this than what they're getting out of it. You are the pleasurer, and you're the pleasure master. So they got to slow down. They got to wait, and they got to be patient. Guarantee it, even girls that they're like, the only way to make me come is to get turbo on my clit. Great. That can happen down the road. But the more that it's like us in edging, the more that you slow it down, you build it up, get that blood flow going, you jack that orgasm up to 11. So even if that's what they need to get there at the end, I'm enjoying this. I'm playing. This is my fucking playground, baby. Yeah, best playground in the world. So, just once you get to the clit, just play with different types of stimulation. By this point, you might want to go internal. Again, we talked about the process of going internal, de-armoring, pressing up on the G-spot wall using your pump or using your come here the finger, starting off slow, watching their body. Then I would bring either my tongue or my other hand onto their clitoris. If you're just doing hand sex, like you're just playing with getting better at hand sex, it's a really great position to have them on their side. And so that you can come in under one leg here and then over the top with the other hand. Another really great way is to get one of their legs and bend it right back. So it's under your underarm, and then you're playing here, and you're literally just parked up. You're like, I'm just playing, baby. This is fun. You're my Game Boy right now. Like, I'm gonna get a high score. So so like you're finding the G spot here, and then you're stimulating here. If you're going with the tongue, just a still flat tongue, like just your tongue flat over their clit. Just leave it there with some like medium firm pressure, and just let it sit for a while. You don't have to go straight in with the licky licks. You can just have firm pressure, and if you want to, start just by like moving your tongue up and over, flat, up and over, and just letting it drag over their clit. If they've got like a bigger clitoral hood, use your hand, like wrap your hand around to just pull it back. Just put your hand on their pubis mundus and pull back, and it'll expose it. So if you're going for tongue, just a still flat tongue, and if you're going to start moving, dragging, and you can even let the tip of your tongue drag over their clit, and then let your lip drag over it as well. Yeah. So if you're going for oral sex and you're looking at that position and you're parked up like below them here, legs outside, think about like parking your top lip and your teeth on their pubic bone right there. So all you got to do is just lay your tongue out flat and let them move on it. So you literally park this, let your lip go up, let your teeth park on here, lay your tongue down flat, and you can be there for however long you need. You're not like stressing your tongue out, you're not stressing your head out. You can just be in there for the long haul until the time comes. If you are going to come up, ask them how it is. How's that, babe? Because often they're in their heads as what we are. So be willing to ask for feedback. If they give you feedback, sometimes it hurts. You're like, fuck, I thought I was killing it.
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah, but be willing to receive that. But yeah, still flat tongue. And then obviously as you start to see their tension build in their body, and they might get some little spasms in their body.
When you got to make sure you don't break your nose.
Yeah, don't break your nose, but also keep consistent. Like keep doing what you've been doing, but increase your speed and your pressure. That's my tip. You don't have to make it super complicated. Just keep it simple. Start off super slow, still flat tongue on the clit, pressure on the G spot. Don't be going too hard too early on the G spot, because that can just create uncomfortability. But try and find the right time by noticing their body to start speeding that up and speeding up the pressure. Depending on where they are on their cycle as well, they might just pull your hand out of there. You're like, no, not today, Junior. Just because it's the G spot doesn't mean it's always a winner. And you just got to invite that feedback. And yeah, if the G spot's on for young and old, you can see them loving it, you can really get in there. You can really pull it out, and you'll know when it's starting to move towards orgasm, because there'll be an increase in their lubricant, their discharge, and you'll hear it yeah, that's the moment
when you get a hand.
That's the moment when you get a hand. Yeah. So speaking of that, thinking about your hand position.
Yeah.
Because if you're making it a wrist action, you will get sore. So think about a shoulder action.
Oh, yeah.
So if this is where you are, you're using your shoulder, and once your shoulder gets sore, you're using your wrist. And once you're using your fingers, once your fingers get sore, you're using your wrist. Once, think about.
Yeah.
Put your brace, the elbow brace on. Bro.
Yeah. So yeah, think about.
Yeah, that's the one. Good one. This too, you've got a bit of a loose shoulder going on.
Yeah. So think about hand position with that. Think about where you're laying down. Think about where you're sitting up. How long can I be in this position for? If I move, am I going to fuck the whole show?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But that's only if you're going for orgasm too. If that's what you're going for, then you have to think about how long you can be there. If you're going for just playing, pleasure, discovery, and they're willing to go on that ride with you, oh fuck, babe, we're just going to try some shit and see what feels good. That's called pleasure mapping. Yeah, that's when you're just having a little play party and you're just seeing if you can discover some new cool things. When you're thinking about sex positions, all these positions that we've said are really good, are good because they hit the G spot. So that one that you're talking about, because their hips are raised up and your cock's coming in like this, it's hitting the G spot or the A spot.
Right up along that wall.
If you're thinking about lazy dog, one hip's up and we're coming down and we're pushing at the G spot. If you're talking about missionary is kind of the same too, because often they'll lift their hips up and it's just a tiny little tailbone curl. And you'll know, if you're just if you're doing turbo missionary and you're just lifting your hips and pounding, you'll not often notice that you get much less stimulus from them than if you're going slow and you're tucking your tailbone, because you're pulling and pushing on their G spot. If they're sitting on the lounge and you're down a little bit lower, G spot. So yes, not a lot of women come from penetration, but it very much helps when you're doing that. If they're sitting on top Like girls that are really good at fucking on top, they're good because they're good at getting their hips in the right spot so that your cock is literally like grinding on their G spot. That's what they're doing. They're rubbing their clit on your pubic bone and they're finding the right angle to get your cock on their G spot.
And when you're saying that too, it also, from my experience, it also, you feel that cervix
Yeah,
and that A spot up there as well.
Yeah.
When they're on top.
for sure.
Yeah.
Plenty of women are open to anal play when they're close to orgasm. Yeah, but that has to be like 100% fully consensual. You need to ask the question, even if they've done it before, even if it worked before and you had great results with it before, that's an opt-in scenario. Like they have to opt into that. Like, would you like me to put a finger in your bum right before you come? Been waiting all day. Go for it. Or like, or not today, babe. Or, you know, I don't know if my body's prepared for that. I just ate a big curry.
Not really the finish you want.
No, not really. Yeah, but that's like all of those positions that we talked about as well do create space for that. Like Michael's plow number 2. Like if the butt's up high, there's room to get in there. Lazy dog, we're on top. There's room to get in there. Riding on top, room to get around. Missionary, if you're in the right spot, you can go for that as well. But that's just a really intuitive thing. Like, you know, if they're feeling it, it's feeling good, then you ask the question. Turns me on as much as it turns them on. Often I'm just a fucking dirty cunt, so I love butt stuff. But yeah, that can be just like for us as well. Same thing. Like it's just that extra level of stimulation for women. There's women out there that will describe just enjoying the feeling of being full. So that's where like soaking comes in. So if you're all the way in and you just stop and breathe with them, just having that sensation of being full can be really, really hot and like builds trust and all that sort of stuff. Stopping and pausing for men is a really great tool for that safety and trust, to let them know that, fuck, this feels good. This feels so good. And I can stop and I can breathe it in. I'm not getting carried away. I'm not losing control. Like when I'm choosing to fuck you hard, I'm choosing to fuck you hard, but I can slow down at any moment if that's what we need to do. So contrast. It's like contrast with touch, hard touch and firm touch. We need contrast in life and everything so that we can appreciate the spectrum of things. I think that's all I got.
Sure.
That's awesome, mate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Oh, there we go.
I mean, I've got fucking heaps more, but that's probably all we need for tonight. And is there any like burning questions that we didn't get to?
I was just going to say about squirting. Is it the truth that they all can?
No. It's bullshit.
No matter what.
I don't know how it came up on my feed, but this lady was talking very passionately about it. But it's just urination, essentially. It's a relaxation of something that's actually mostly urine.
There is urine in there, but it's coming from the urethral sponge, which shares a common wall with the bladder. So, and it's like a membranal wall. It's a spongy wall. So, it's not all urine. There is some urine in there, but it's basically like vaginal fluid. It's the lubrication, it's the discharge. But when that urethral sponge is stimulated, it's just an overexertion of, like a hyper exertion of vaginal fluid. So I've been with women who, sorry to anyone that watches this, lack of a better term, been drier down there and had fucking mind-boggling orgasms. And I've been with women that will literally squirt every single time, whether you're doing the pump or whatever. Their body just, when they're in that climactical zone, just produces a lot of discharge. So to try and put some sort of like award or goal or medal on being able to make a woman squirt, I think is not healthy. It is fun to watch. It's fun to see them like be in that bigger climax, but it also adds pressure on women as well that we should all be able to do it. You know, I'm pretty good at making people do it, but I haven't been able to make everybody do it, and I haven't really got any attachment to making.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like an energetic orgasm, from what I've heard, seen, is a much more just fully encompassing orgasm than a
Yeah.
squirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, in my experience, it's like if you can bring your breath and circulate the energy and work with edging and build that eros and that sex and life force energy up, and then fucking breathe it up into your brain. Like, yeah, I've stepped into other dimensions and watched other people do it and literally turn into fucking like quivering, crying puddles of like mess afterwards. And, that's bigger than a squirting orgasm. But if you do want to make somebody squirt, it's pretty much what we're talking about. Like needs to be lots of engorgement first. They need to be able to work with the tension in their body. So being able to work with that climactical tension of lifting their perineum muscles and releasing them and bearing down. Like, so they're breathing up and they're bearing down, breathing up, bearing down, and working with that G spot. And you almost really got to get your shoulder into it and really pump it by the end. There's different sex toys and tools around for it as well as glass and crystal dildos and wands that are specifically shaped to have like a bulbous end to be able to push, like they're doing the hook fingers for you. But yeah, it's a fun thing to create, but I wouldn't work towards it as an end goal.
Sam found this to be quite helpful. It seems really windy.
Oh, a wedge.
A wedge.
Yeah.
I just use a yoga bolster.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good.
What were you just talking about? You just got me thinking now.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Yeah.
I was
It's
doing
a
my
slightly more athletic. I was going to say before. There's I guess the one that has been enjoyed has been essentially that position. Like if I'm like a tabletop, it's a little bit more athletic.
That thing's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're excellent.
Jesus.
What?
The
Tantra lounge.
Yeah.
Oh, they have one at 687.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I was thinking about making some.
Yeah. And it's good because it just looks like it's a bit of furniture, like the untrained.
it looks like that. It kind of looks like a race car bed.
Yeah.
But like you can bend them over, lay them down. You can lay down. Yeah, they're pretty epic.
I've never been back like that. I was only talking to Carrie about that yesterday.
Yeah.
It was literally shaped like that.
And I had a nice little like 4-person daisy chain situation at a sex club on one of these. It was quite lovely.
Daisy chain.
Hey,
Daisy chain.
like 4 people like fucking each other in a row. Yeah.
Or padlocks on the.
Yeah. I remember I did my yoga teacher training, like 200-hour yoga teacher training, and I was like one of 2 guys in a group of 12, rest of them are women. And like during all of the lectures and seminars, like being all yogis, everyone's laying over bolsters and like doing different positions. And I was literally there drawing stick figures about that's a fucking great position that one is. So that one home.
Yoga bolsters are awesome.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, any other questions? Anything that I didn't answer that you're hoping to hear? No? You're gonna look at me different at the bottle shop now, aren't you?
I had my suspicions already. That's awesome. Suspicions confirmed.
So yeah, one of the
Conversations got different at the bottle shop.
you're like, oh, I just fucking found something I knew. You want to see it? Yeah, this is somebody. It's fucking great. Yeah. No.
Bruce in.
Yeah.
Bring Bruce in.
Yeah. This thing's a vibe. But yeah, like all of this stuff that I like was talking about tonight has come from like sexology. It's come from teaching, like coaching couples and individuals, but also something that I don't tell very many people is that I'm one of Newcastle's only male sex workers. So a lot of this comes from practice as well. So yeah, part of the time I'm being an electrician, part of the time I'm coaching people, and part of the time I'm getting paid to fuck people. So it's a nice little kaleidoscope of pleasure.
Yeah.
So yeah, if any of you have ever got any questions about anything, whether it's like relationship stuff, intimacy stuff, or just straight up sex stuff, slide into the DMs. Just nothing's off limits. There's no taboos in my world.
Actually, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Most of the guys here are in committed relationships from what I know, but I just went on a date with a girl the other day, and so I'm curious about, as that relationship possibly progresses, what, like, I kind of guess I can work out what these conversations would look like, but do you have any tips
About like moving it from dating to sex?
Yeah.
I'm pretty blunt with these things. Like I
No.
I generally just ask people like, hey, do you want to make out? You know, fuck. But I know that that's not everybody's dynamic. I think like creating like that curiosity in your conversation around, you know, like, you know, what does intimacy mean to you? You know, being brave enough to know that you're not the first person that they've ever had sex with, and you're not probably going to be the last person. So the whole thing's kind of fun. It's a pretty cool blessing that if that does happen, then whether it's good or bad, it's just fun. And two, I like to let everybody know, like, not to put too much pressure on the first time that you try something. Like if it's the first time that you try whipping somebody, or it's the first time that you sleep with somebody that you're dating, it's probably not going to go, like, it's not going to be a 10 out of 10 experience that first time. So just embrace the play around that. But around having the conversation with her about it, I think like just say where you are now dating and having sex for the first time could look like Mount Everest, like building a bridge between there and there, like starting off with conversations about like, you know, when do you feel super connected to somebody? What is it that you need to feel safe with somebody? What are some of the sentence stems that EJ had?
Yeah, I was just thinking,
you know,
that'd be perfect.
What does intimacy mean to you? You know, when do you feel safe in sex? Like, what is, like, you know, what's eroticism to you? You know, and once you can go really edgy with it, like, you know, what's the best sex that you've ever had? And just like creating the conversation around it, not from like a sleazy way, like that you're alluding to it, just the fact that you're comfortable to talk about it would be mine.
Yeah, I like your examples there with like, what does intimacy mean to you? Because like obviously a lot of like what we've spoken about here is explicit, and so like it's just going on like, oh, what do you think about this? So,
What's your favorite sex position?
Yeah,
That's what we spoke about on Sunday, right? With the EJ, it was like, oh, do you like your shoulders being massaged, like that non-sexual touch? Is like, cool, like, where do you like to?
Absolutely.
Do you like getting your feet rubbed? Like,
how do you like to receive touch? Is a good question.
Would you like to touch?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Like, how do you like to receive touch? As things get, you know, further down into the intimate world, like, become the master. Like, to anybody here, become the master of consent. Is like one of the fucking sexiest things that a guy can ever do. It's like, would you like it if I, you know, would you like this harder, softer, slower? Anything I can do to make this better? You know, what would you like to have out of this experience? You know, like, say the first night you start to make out and you know that something's going to happen, like your spidey senses are tingling. Like, think about like how, you know, what's your intention with this sex for you, and then get curious to see if you can find out what her intention is for it. Like, does she just want to knock the first one out, get it out of the way? And, so it's over and done with and you can enjoy? Or does she want it to be like super connected, super conscious? Just, get curious about your intention and then discovering what hers is, and the rest of it will flow from there. If you've got really, really good communication, like together, and that will cause you to feel really connected to each other. And if you're connected, you feel like she sees you, you see her, intimacy, it'll happen.
Just something just came true. It was like, it's been a while since I've been on a first date, or so we saw it the first time. But even just saying, like, almost think, when you're unsure of stuff, you think it's like a big deal. And I almost think, like, oh, would you, if you're not sure about where it's going, consent and boundaries, hey, would you like me to unbutton your shirt? Right. Then you're not like guessing, and it's almost like, I would imagine, I'm just guessing, I'm not the expert, but it's almost like, and if you do it well, like it's a massive turn on. So you're asking for permission, you're receiving feedback, like you got consent, and you're taking it slow, and you're creating, I guess, a space for that safety in that environment. Like, I would imagine that would be a good, like, you might feel a bit awkward. You're like, oh, do I or don't I? Like, oh, joy. That's what I mean. Like, you would never ask a girl a question when you're fucking in your teens or 20s or whatever, when you're first, like, that would be fucking weird.
Yeah, you just fumbling
around. You just know what to do, obviously.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously that doesn't work.
It's like,
You mates, yeah.
well, it's like you're just like trying to intuitively, like, okay, now's the moment when we both fumble with each other's pants, even though it'd be easy for us to take our own off.
Like, here comes bra again.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
I'm just gonna leave it for her to do it.
Yeah.
It's like a couple of attempts. Nah, I'll leave it on. Hold on. But yeah, like, I get super good at consent. That's the thing. Like, would you like me to kiss? Like, would you like me to kiss you tonight? Is that what you would like? Like, would you like me to take you back and, we see where else things go?
I'm sorry, but like, if you approached it that way, most women would be weak at the knees.
Yeah.
100%.
When you just said that, would you like me to kiss you tonight?
Like,
It's like,
fuck, what
because
girl wouldn't
yeah,
know
you're
if
not-
that's a full
you're
yes?
not going for the kiss. You're saying, oh, maybe later tonight. Like, would
Yeah.
you like this thing? And then she's going to be thinking, and like,
Yeah, one of my favorite pickup lines ever. I used it on Saturday night and at work. There's this really hot photographer at an event that I was at, and like, she was giving me the eyes, was having a chat, and I just went up to her and said, hey, like, you've been keep popping into my vision tonight. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how open are you to being hit on tonight? Nice. And she, like, how open are you into that sort of thing, receiving that tonight? And she was like, oh fuck, I hadn't even thought about it. No one's ever asked me that. Oh, like, right now a 10. And I was like, great, let's chat. So it was literally just a consent piece.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, well,
Put that in the just in case file.
Yeah, just
When I get home tonight, if I'm
when you're talking about that, what comes across was how much
Sorry, you just brought
confidence-
up a good point. It's like, fuck, that's 100% the question you should ask. How open are you to being hit on tonight?
Yeah,
she's like, well, I literally didn't sleep with her last night with that 2-year-old, so fucking none, mate. But
because you're getting consent, you're clarifying, and you.
Thank you.
Even if you are shitting yourself, you're confident in that questioning.
yeah, and they're investing
Yeah,
by saying, giving you a score.
yeah,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's a good one.
See,
Well, even like, Keegan, if it gets to a point where, it is like connected, and you, like, she said, you said, oh, like, would you like me to kiss you tonight? Or would you like to be kissed tonight? Would you like to come back to my place and, we see, open to seeing where things go? And then this is like fucking gold, is that if it does start to get to the point where you realize, or you've had it confirmed that yes, she would like to be intimate with you, ask if she would like you to undress her. Like, if all you guys that have got partners, If
Love
you've
it.
never undressed your partner slowly, yep, there's
Oh,
nothing
no.
hotter.
Really?
By just saying like, dude, would you like me to undress you? And just ever so slowly, just like not being creepy, not being weird. You're kissing, you can tell her to close their eyes, unbutton their top, or like lift their top up super slowly. You use the sensation as you drag it across their skin. You know, slowly take their bra off, like unclip it, leave it hanging, you know, one shoulder at a time. This is like, who doesn't love undressing a woman, right?
Yeah.
So why the
so
fuck are we
good.
rushing it?
That's right.
Yeah. You know, we're so quick to get our dicks in or, you know, try and make everybody come, but that whole journey is so yummy.
I went through that there today, but my wife, she had to go down to Sydney this afternoon and she's going for a shower. So we were just in the house and I just done that, undressed us to send her into the shower to get ready to go. There was no sex or anything about it, but the erotic nature of doing that, like she was tingling all over just from that.
Yeah.
And then went and stood in the shower and underneath the shower for 5 minutes. Like
Rather than like we spend a lot of our lives as adults feeling like crabby, like we're constantly chasing. But when you start to like get that mindset of intimacy is the fun part, you know, like not grabbing the tits, not grabbing the ass, not getting the finger in, the intimacy, that's the goal. That's when you.
I definitely agree with that. It's just totally changed from my 20s to 40s.
Yeah. When we feel love as men, we feel it because we feel connection, an intimate connection. That's when we know that we're safe. That's how we know that the relationship's secure. We're being chosen because we're not getting our hands pushed away. You know, we're not getting knocked back. There's no talk of headaches. It's just like when they know that they can come for connection safely and it just be that intimacy, that's true, like sexy times. That's good. When they know that you can just be intimate and then send them on their way or juiced up. That's
for
hot.
me, like first dates and like early stuff, not even approaching it, but still being connected with them was frothing on it, like absolutely loving it, because it's like you're not like come back to my place, we'll have drinks and do this, but you don't then actually see what happens. You just like just come back and I don't want to do anything. It's not even about that. If it happens, that's awesome, but it's like let's just connect and do what you do. And it's like generally then they'll be like, fuck, what are you doing? And then they'll just go to you and you're like, oh, okay, yep, this is cool. And it's it's like you're just not pushing it on them, I suppose.
Yeah.
That was a really good thing
expectations for them either to be coming home with you.
And they feel safe because it's like you're not that dude that's
and that's
like,
what Luke was saying
grabbing
about
like
safety.
you're talking about, and it's like you're not even really even addressing it. Like it's like obviously it's awesome to address it and talk about it, but it's like you're doing it via I don't know, like your vibe and your energy. You're doing that anyway, I guess, is what I sort of did, and it was great. It was just the connection, and then sometimes it didn't happen, and there's no drama. It was just great.
Well, yeah, my last partner actually, we took like months before we slept together. We were kind of just feeling it out, and that was so different to what I'd always done before, which was just try and like meet a girl and sleep with her, because I'd heard that if you sleep with a girl, she'll be more invested in you after, and so it just running that the whole time, and it was like no, it wasn't fulfilling. I was sleeping with people that I didn't even have a connection with or any real desire to like engage with in the future. And
there is a part of that is kind of true. Like the path that you're talking about, I believe is a much stronger path for like a good relationship, like building a friendship and all that. I'm currently experiencing that myself, and it's fucking with my sex brain. But there is a thing with women that when they do sleep with you hormonally, like thinking way back to caveman days, they're driven to build a connection because they want you to be a viable partner, procreate the world, all that sort of stuff. So sex does lead to a hormonal response to want a connection. You'll hear guys talk about it like, oh, even if they say that they just want sex, there's going to be drama involved, or they're going to want a relationship. It's all bullshit. All girls just want a relationship. There's a body response to sex for women. But yeah, I truly believe that just being confident in knowing that if it happens, it happens. What I want is a connection. That's hot. I'm like sort of seeing a girl at the moment. I met her at my gym and I was like, fuck, she's hot. I'm definitely gonna fuck her. I'm gonna have like hot, sweaty CrossFit sex with this chick, and gave her my card. And it's like, you know, well, she came over that night, we hooked up, and then she was working in Newcastle, that Spiegel tent thing that was in town. It's in Sydney, and she's like, "Oh, can I stay with you whilst I'm down here?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can. However, we need to stop with the fucking around stuff because I don't really want there to be any expectations or pressure that I'm staying at this guy's house, so I should do the things. Like I should fuck him. You know, I think you're cool. Let's just be friends if you're going to stay at my place for a bit." And straight away, that created like a level of respect for her and for me, and safety and trust. And we wanted to fuck each other even more then. But yeah, I was just like, look, let's just chill. And we both started to get feelings for each other. And we both said, look, if this is going to be a thing, it needs to come from a place of friendship. And the more that we do that, the more that we fucking desperately want to fuck each other. But we're like trying real hard not to at the moment, but it's so fun. It's like fun not. Like I have a lot of sex. Like I get paid to have sex, but it's more fun for me right now is like playing with that fucking desire and
Chastity thing you're playing with.
yeah,
Yeah.
not really being because I'm getting it elsewhere.
Oh yeah. It's supplement.
Yeah, supplementing. Yeah, but that's fun. So like see like how intimate a connection can be without the sex sometimes. We're all like chasing the sex, but
Yeah.
it's the fucking intimacy and connection that gives you that all of those juicy, yummy vibes. And come in our hand 4 times a day. It's not the same.
Oh, that's takes some going.
Jesus. Not me, but some people. All right.
Where are you?
Yeah, we'll take it, mate.
Namaste.
We didn't take a photo.
Yeah, there's some good books and resources on the back there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Better.
go for it.
Thanks for listening to the Junto Men's podcast. Our mission is to share high quality information for regular blokes who either want to be better or who might be going through some tough stuff. We really hope you got some value out of listening today. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So if you did get some value out of today, we'd love it if you left us a comment. We read them all, shared it with a mate, or even gave us a 5-star review. We love getting those. If any of what we have spoken about today was interesting to you and you'd like to know more about what we're about and what we do, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our website. We'll hopefully talk to you soon. Cheers.